All right, welcome to Get Healthy Alabama. And I'm here today with my co-host, as always, Betty Lou Pierce. She's been a nutritionist for over 40 years. Betty Lou, how are you?
Doing great, thank you.
Betty Lou and I are always talking about what we call the pillars of health, that if you would address your health needs from a physical perspective and a nutritional perspective and an emotional perspective, you will be giving your body the best chance it has to be healthy. Well, I had a patient come in my office recently, and when I looked at her chart, I thought, this is the wrong patient. Because on her chart, her history, and I'll let her get into it, her history included different medical challenges she's had, but sitting in front of me was a woman who radiated health. Like, she really did. She just glowed. And I knew she was here for back pain and some jaw discomfort, but I knew she had a story, because this healthy woman in front of me could not be the same person who filled out this piece of paper unless there was a pretty cool story. So I didn't even ask her a question about her back, Betty Lou. I just put down the chart and I said, tell me your story. And she proceeded to tell me this awesome story that fits with our pillars of health. It touched on all three: physical, nutritional, emotional. But I wanted to bring her on the podcast to tell her story, really not just for you to hear it, because I know you'll love it, but I want our audience to hear it, because I think they need to hear what this wonderful woman, Crystal Leblanc, has to say. So welcome, Crystal.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. All right, so Crystal, I'm going to just go back to that day you came in. And I don't know if you remember, but I said...
Oh, I remember.
I said, just tell me your story. So, well, how old are you?
I will be 36 next week.
Okay, 36. And you look 26, which is great.
Yeah, thank you.
And I really want you to just go ahead and tell your story.
Well, first of all, on that day, you surprised me as well. You were one of the first doctors that I've ever seen that just said, tell me your story. And that was really, really awesome. So don't stop asking patients that, because that was a big thing for me. But my story starts back when I got married in 2007. I was living in South Louisiana with my husband. We were both from South Louisiana. And the next thing is to have kids and start your family. And that just never happened for us. In 2010, we decided, let's move away. We don't have kids. Let's see what happens. Let's venture and roam. And we did. Still no kids, still nothing. We moved to North Carolina for a little while. And I went to Duke University, or the Duke, hospitals, to find out what was going on with my infertility. I knew something was up. I have a history of having painful periods, just all kinds of issues. And we went to a university or the hospital, and they said, well, you may have endometriosis. We're not sure. Let's check thyroids and all this kind of stuff. So we checked that. And then we moved here. As soon as we were done with that testing, before I could even see another doctor, we moved here to Mobile, Alabama. The doctors here were much different. But the first doctor I saw confirmed endometriosis, which was kind of strange, because for years I've been having the same pains, telling my OBs the same thing over and over again. And I've been prescribed medicine, birth control, like prescription pain medicine for painful periods. I'm like, that's just not normal. So we went in to do surgery, because for endometriosis, that's the only way you can see it in a woman's body, which I did not know that. So we did a minimally invasive outpatient surgery, and I had stage 3, almost stage 4 endometriosis. He went in and cleaned up everything he could possibly clean up. And then apparently my tubes were glued to my ovaries. I didn't know. I didn't have any idea that could even happen, or I didn't even know what endometriosis was. So I did a lot of homework and a lot of studying. And then I thought, well, now I'm going to get pregnant. We cleaned it up. We did what we had to do.
And
so
let me try, what year was this?
This was, we moved here in 2013, so it's probably 2014.
Okay, and this is the end of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 5 years ago. And just briefly, what is endometriosis for the people?
So endometriosis is something that happens when a woman is shedding her egg and everything like that. Some of that lining is sticking and staying, and it acts like a glue in your body. It's almost like a cancer in forms that it will just kind of attach itself and take over whatever. And that's what it looked like in my body when he showed me the pictures of what it was. But it just acts like a glue in there, almost like a scar tissue even. So it was just gluing everything together.
And then, so they went in there, did a minor type surgery, and was supposed to have cleaned it all up, and you should have been good to go.
Right.
Okay, this was what year again?
That was 2014.
Okay, so go ahead, I'm sorry.
So, no, you're fine. 2014, this is going on, and then I was put on fertility medicine for a year. And anybody that's been through that, God bless your heart, because I was a complete crazy person. I didn't understand what that would do to me, but I knew, I mean, as a woman, we're going to do everything we can to have a child. Like, that's just part of it. This is what I have to do. So I was on crazy meds for a year. My mom can tell you that I became a shell of a person. Like, she didn't recognize me in my speech, the way I talked. I was just different. I was sad is what I was.
Yeah.
But for a year, nothing happened, and I was still in pain. So pain's back. I'm not getting any results. I don't understand what's going on. My mental space is not a good one. And I go back to the doctor. And the doctor said, well, we can do in vitro, or you can have a hysterectomy.
All right, we'll stop you again. So, after that first surgery, you were hoping, or the doctors were hoping, just take these fertility pills. They should help you get pregnant.
Right.
You did take them. They made you crazy.
Yep.
But you kept doing it, which, I'm a man, but the way you described it was good. I understand that mindset. And then, and you really didn't have pain that year, but then the pain came back. Okay, so then you go back to the doctor, and he gave you, go ahead and repeat the options.
He gave me my two options, which were hysterectomy or in vitro. And I could have done a partial hysterectomy and this, that, and the other. But in my mind space, I have gone through this. It's been, let's see, I had gotten married in 2007, so it was almost 10 years that I was dealing with, am I pregnant or am I not pregnant? That's a lot to deal with every single month, and I just couldn't anymore. In vitro was not an option for me because I'm thrifty, so I'm not going to spend $20,000, $30,000 on a hope, a wish, and a prayer that may never happen.
Right.
I just don't see the point in putting my family through that financial struggle over a wish. So my husband and I sat down and we had the talk. I literally let him off the hook. If you want to get a divorce because you want to have children of your own, go ahead. Like, I cannot physically, I'm going to get the hysterectomy. I will not physically be able to have children. It's your choice. Sorry. So, man.
That's awesome.
So, he looked at me like I was crazy and said, I'm not going anywhere and you can get the hysterectomy. We don't need kids to be happy. So, I mean, that was a lot of thinking, a lot of really wondering what to do, and that was it. I went to the doctor. He set me up with a new OB because he doesn't do that surgery. And I went to her and let's do a hysterectomy. The end. So I had my hysterectomy and I went through 6 months of hell recovering, because as soon as you have a hysterectomy, you're in menopause. So it was another part of a science experiment trying to figure out which hormones were best for me. That wasn't really that fun. We did pretty good on the first shot. For a few months it was okay, and then there was about a week of straight craziness where I was like, okay, well, something's wrong. Something needs to be adjusted. And then for the while, nobody ever talked to me about my diet. I was still yo-yo dieting. I was depressed eating. I was bigger than I probably should have been. No, that I never should have been. But whatever. Went on about my life. A year later, the pain came back. I was at the gym and I felt a sharp pain. Actually, it was in my right lower abdomen, and it just felt like I might have twisted, like twinged something in my abs or something. I pulled something. I'll be all right. Well, for about a month and a half, my coworkers saw me holding my side, like, Crystal, something's wrong with you. Like, no, I've had enough surgery and things, so I'm just like, I'm fine. It'll be okay. Finally, one day of unbearable pain, I go to the urgent care, told him my history. He sent me immediately for a CT scan, and we found that endometriosis was back on my bowel. It had attached itself to my bowel, and I didn't even know it could come back. That was a very big surprise for me.
Wow.
So I go back to my doctor, And she's like, well, let's go in and do surgery.
Mm.
So we go in for another minimally invasive surgery. They poke more holes in me, and I get the endo scraped out again, this time with her and another general surgeon, because she doesn't specialize in that area. She wanted to make sure we were covered if anything happened. So we scrape it again. And then 7 months later...
Okay, let me interrupt you again.
Yeah.
So when those doctors did that again, and I'm not blaming those doctors, of course, they did what they're trained to do.
Yeah.
But still, up to this point, not once, and especially at that point, not one doctor asked you, what do you think might be causing it? Not one doctor asked themselves, let's try to figure out. Like, I would hope that one of those doctors would have said to you, Crystal, I don't know what caused it, but I want to try to figure that out.
No one was trying to figure out the cause.
Wow.
No one. Not even me at that time.
Right,
No
wow.
one.
Okay, so you had the hysterectomy, a little over a year goes by, and you thought you'd got your hormones, somewhat balanced,
Right.
and you thought, okay, this is me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then, bam.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead, thank you.
So at this point, after this second surgery, thinking, okay, like we've got this under control, things are going to be okay. Well, 7 months into more of this, I've actually found essential oils somewhere in that time frame, in one of those crazy moments. When I was working in my office, some lady came in with essential oils and saved my life one day. She gave me something that helped me calm down and really kind of help me out and balance me. So essential oils started to be a part of my daily routine, and they were helping.
Yeah.
But 7 months later, I had pain again.
Ooh.
And really frustrated.
Wow.
I go back to the doctor, and I was like, what do we do? And she says, Crystal, you can have this surgery every year again for the rest of your life, or never again. It's up to you. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, this is when they decided to explain that my hormones are feeding the endometriosis. That if we give me too much hormones, it'll feed it more. Testosterone balances, but my testosterone is low, and I was just done. I couldn't hear anymore. I was done. So I left her office. I opted not to let her touch me again. I was just really mad.
And when was this approximately?
Oh, goodness. So probably the end of 2016.
So
maybe
about 3 years ago.
2017. Yeah. All that happened within a really fast period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went home and did what any sane woman would do. I got on Pinterest and Googled endometriosis diet, because I knew that this was not working. I knew that something was completely off, and it was the end of September of 2016. That's when this happened.
Okay.
So I did that, and it said no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, and I about hit the floor because I'm from South Louisiana.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what any of that means. So I just looked into it, and I was like, you know what? I'm the only one that's worried about me. I'm the only one that is going to fix me. Mm-hmm. So that was, right then and there, I decided that it was time to drastically change what I was doing. That was a turning point. Now, I had been eating like that for a few months through Thanksgiving, through Christmas. I made it. I survived. And in February, I saw a new doctor, ready to go get tested again, maybe get some answers, because with endometriosis, what scares me the most is I can't see it.
Right.
I have no idea where it's at. I have no idea if it's back, and it can be in your lungs. It can be, people just think it's, right here in my abdomen or your stomach region, like that's it, right? No, it can be anywhere. And that's the most terrifying thing, because apparently mine's microscopic and it can just come back. So
If you feed it.
Right.
Right.
And more learning about that. So I go to this doctor, and he tells me the same spiel, your hormones feed it, testosterone doesn't. I want to put you on this many hormones and this much testosterone. And I stopped him right there and said, no, I don't think testosterone's a good idea for me. I know my anger. I know it's probably not the best. I've been in a bad space for a while. I don't think it's a good idea. He did it anyway. He said, no, I think it's going to be great because we're going to level you off. It's going to be fine. And I asked him that day about my diet. And I said, well, what about what I eat? He said, we're going to be pumping you full of hormones and testosterone, so that won't make a difference.
Wow.
A doctor literally told me these words.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, that was everything I needed to hear to go back to eating the way I was, because, I mean, after 2 months of that, or 3 months of that, I was done. It was super hard for me. So I started eating like I wanted to. The testosterone took a really big hold of me, and I stopped taking that cold turkey. I called that doctor to let him know it was bothering me, to let him know I was going to stop, and nobody ever called me back.
Oh my gosh.
So that was a sign right there that I knew he does not care about me. And in that time is when I found something else. That's when I have a friend of mine in Louisiana who's always been the epitome of health. I mean, she always ate good and did right. And she's like, why don't you try Juice Plus? And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's one of those things. And they have shakes. They have meal replacement shakes. And for me, that's what I needed. I needed a meal replacement. I could care less about whatever else she was talking about. I needed a meal replacement because it was hard for me to eat. When I went to that doctor, I realized really quickly that eating bad again flared up everything. Not only was it the testosterone, but what I was eating. So I don't care what he said. I stopped eating bad, went back to eating right, and got on these shakes. And the shakes were a lifesaver because one was chocolate. And the shakes I needed that in my life. And I was able to tolerate eating, 3 times a day, like that kind of thing, healthier snacks. And I would stick to it. People at work were like, you are such a stickler about this. And I couldn't get them to understand why. Mm-hmm. My why is to never have surgery again. Mm-hmm. Like, there's got to be a better way. And for people out there that have cancer or any like life-threatening diseases, you have that choice. You are the only one that cares enough about you to make those decisions and to take your life. I mean, I just have endometriosis, and I was like, nope, I got to change it. So I was on Juice Plus. I was on those shakes for a while. Sorry, I'm getting all over the place on the story.
No,
but
okay, so what basically was in the shakes, the Juice Plus shakes?
So it was all natural. It's got whole grains in it. It's gluten-free, dairy-free, which was important because that's how I was eating. And I've tried every other gluten-free, dairy-free shake out there, and yeah, they're gross. I mean, I gave it the good college try. I was at Virginia's. I was at Whole Foods. I was at the Health Hut. I was like, what do you have? Let me try it. Oh man, I ordered stuff from online. I couldn't find anything. So these were a soy protein based shake, and I was a little nervous about that at first, but I started looking into soy and understanding that it's really not that much to be worried about. Soy is actually really good for us, and it's a whole plant based water wash soy. So I said, okay. And then 4 months later, that same friend is like, why aren't you on the capsules? Had no clue what she was talking about because I didn't do my research on all that. And the capsules were fruits, veggies, and berries in a capsule. And I knew from all of my really hard trying that I was not getting enough of that. I mean, I would buy the spinach and the celery and all the things, and most of it would rot in my freezer, like my fridge. I mean, it would rot on the counter with all its good intentions, and I would find easier stuff to eat, more processed, gluten-free, whatever, whatever's easier. So I got on the capsules, and this was in May of 2017. I'm on the capsules, I'm on the shake, I'm taking 2 fruits, 2 veggies, 2 berries a day. I'm on these shakes that are giving me the soy protein and the grains that I need, and I'm eating much, much better than I ever have. I came off of all the other supplements that the doctors had me on, dropped my testosterone completely, lowered my hormone patches by half within 9 months.
Wow.
Like, I mean, it's insane. They tell me I have Hashimoto's because of all these panels that they do on me. They're like, you have Hashimoto's. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I think I would feel if something's attacking my thyroid. I feel fine. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me I have a disease that's attacking my thyroid when the thyroid is the one thing that controls your life. You would feel it. So I still challenge a lot of what doctors say, and that's the thing, is to challenge them, because they are just a person like you and I with an opinion like you and I. They went to school. Yep, sure they did. but they missed a big old section on nutrition.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee you that what I've been reading and going through is more than they have.
Yeah, that's true. They don't get, I think it's very little nutrition that they get, just a few hours in all the years of study.
And that
And
was
people don't realize that. And again, not to knock the medical doctor, but they honestly believe if a medical doctor recommends vitamin D or calcium or whatever, that it means more. It doesn't. And I don't mean that as a put down. They don't, my electrician doesn't talk to me about the plumbing.
Yeah.
It's not what he does.
Right.
So, okay, so Betty Lou, you can see why I love her.
Yes, definitely.
I was watching you listening, like, nodding your head. Like,
every word. I was
awesome. Like, just,
yes,
it's an
fantastic
amazing story
Yes.
that people need to hear. So, because you've had a hysterectomy and in a sense are menopausal, you do still take some hormones, but you've reduced that.
Right.
See, that's unbelievable. And that's really all you take, right? As far as prescriptive.
Absolutely. And it is a very minimal dosage.
Yeah.
I mean, super, super minimal. And going back to my doctor, we were just talking about that. The last time I saw the doctor that was pumping me full of testosterone, he had 2 residents with him that day, and I was like, oh, it's not a good day for them to be in here. Whatever. It was another bold moment that I had to do, and he asked me how I was feeling, and I said, fantastic, no thanks to you.
Wow.
And he didn't understand. I said, you told me that my diet didn't matter, and that was a lie. You told me that my supplements I was taking wouldn't matter. That was a lie. You told me I needed testosterone, and that was a lie. I want to ask you if you were trained in nutrition. And he looks at the residents, the 2 sitting there, and says, are you trained in nutrition? And they said, no, we're not. And I said, and that's why I'm mad. Because I sat here and asked you for the most natural way, and you lied to me, and I left. And I never went back. And he actually, that doctor has been since retired. Thank you. But it's all about being bold, and if you ask them, they'll answer you.
Yes.
I mean, he knew he had nothing. I asked him for the natural way. I asked what he knew about nutrition, and he knew. I've got
And wouldn't
nothing.
you feel better if a doctor would say to you, that's a great question, and I don't know. Or there are alternatives, but I really don't even know how good they are. At least they'd be honest.
Yeah.
Like, there's alternatives out there, and you don't expect the medical doctor to be the expert, but I would expect him or her to be honest about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so do you feel that you mentioned earlier, like cancer or endometriosis, do you feel, well, I'm going to lead you with this question. I believe that we feed our diseases. There's other factors, but you can't grow, I always say this, you can't grow a palm tree in Canada. A palm tree is going to be down in Miami or Los Angeles. Like, the climate has to be conducive.
Right.
Well, the climate has to be conducive for disease to live. And if you want to change the climate, one of the most powerful ways is by changing your diet.
Absolutely.
So as soon as you stop the gluten, the dairy, the sugar, you would change the climate, and the endometriosis cannot live if it doesn't have that to feed on.
Right.
That's me. The other thing too is your mindset. I think that's important. I think people, unfortunately, have to get so pissed off sometimes.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we don't have to get to that point, but we believe our doctors.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to bash them,
Yeah.
but we believe them, and we don't question. And they don't tell us that this is just a option. They tell us it's the option. But so you made up your mind one day, so that mindset, and then you did make changes in your lifestyle, specifically nutritionally. But I always say there's physical factors, there's nutritional factors, and there's emotional factors. So emotionally, you were fed up, and that inspired you to change. You made nutritional changes, but then you did make physical changes. You got into yoga, right?
Right. Yoga came a little bit after, but yeah. So first off, the emotional side, that was a big one for me because as you heard through my whole story, I mean, that's all emotion.
Right.
Hormones is all emotion.
Yeah.
Especially that 6 months after recovering from a hysterectomy, I've just made this really life-altering decision. I got to really know myself. Because when you're pumping me full of hormones and I'm having a bad day, I know that that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this isn't right. I can tell the difference between my emotions and what I hang on to versus something that's just off and I can't explain it.
Right.
So I got to really understand myself a little bit more and what emotion was real and what emotion was because of this hormone, because of this some other thing that I can't control.
And
So-
you were able to forgive yourself on those days, or give yourself a pass,
Yes,
because I think
absolutely.
that's huge.
Definitely.
And thank
yes.
goodness my husband was able to give me a pass as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he understood it and he asked, and guys out there, if you're dealing with a wife with, goodness, any kind of hormone issues, you can't fix it.
Right.
A guy wants to fix it.
Right.
Always wants to fix it.
Mhm.
And he asked me one day, what can I do? And I said, I would love to give you an answer, but if I don't even know what's causing it, I have no clue how to fix it. I don't know why I'm upset. I don't know why I'm depressed. I don't know why. I just am.
Mhm.
It's a state of being that I am right now, and nothing's going to make it go away until it goes. So, I mean, he would try to make me laugh and whatever, and we realized that we just had to wait until it passed.
Mhm.
It was like an episode, a hot flash or whatever. We'd have to wait until that time passes.
But you were able to identify it as such.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And it was very helpful throughout all of this. So when I decided, I'm making this change, I also knew that I needed more. I mean, for a long time, I'm going to get a little religious here, but for a long time I was mad at God. Let's be real. I had some stuff to be mad about, and I took it out on the wrong person. So I was reintroducing myself back into a loving space. I knew that I had come so far that I needed to be back somewhere familiar and happy and loved. So I literally got up every single morning because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I didn't want any kind of interaction with another human being. I got up at 4:30 in the morning with headphones in my ears and went for a walk
Uh-huh.
in the dark with a shank just in case.
Yeah.
But I went for a walk and I found a sermon that I liked. I have some friends of mine in South Louisiana that started a church. I knew them, I trusted them, and I wanted to hear their message. So every single morning I got up, no matter what I was feeling like, and I went for a walk. And there was a theme that was just going. It was just jump, just do it. Now, all this time I've been in corporate America, working for insurance companies, and I mean, you can't get more miserable. I even worked at a funeral home, y'all. You cannot get more miserable than the jobs that I've had.
Job, that's for sure.
It was. They were dying to get in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just one miserable thing after another. So that's when I made the career change as well and went into what I've known has helped me so much. And that was the Juice Plus world. I dropped corporate America and went to that because so many more people out there needed help. Like I looked at my own family. I looked at everybody. There were so many other people out there needed to hear what I've been through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary for me.
Yeah.
That is really scary for me. So I still had a lot of healing to do before I did that. But in that spare time when I quit, I think it was in May, I kind of made that decision. And in a couple months, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go and do yoga. Now, for about 5 years, I had a vision board of a chick doing yoga on a paddleboard.
Uh-huh.
Never, ever have I taken a yoga class. So I was going to get there one day. I just wasn't sure how. I just kept telling myself. And in July, that was the day. I walked into a yoga studio in Mobile, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I started the restorative and slower flow classes. And that really helped me in my mental space. Understanding who you are and what's going on, being able to let go of things that you're holding on to. That's really what yoga is about, learning to use your breath. I mean, that was a calming factor for me, learning how to do all that. So now I'm walking, filling myself up with sermons and happy things, and then going to yoga. Fast forward to December, so that was in July.
I'm going to stop you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I know we could talk forever about this, but that one little thing you said, I want to just spend a minute on. I've never heard someone say that yoga is about letting go.
Oh.
I think people think about yoga as stretching. and meditation.
Mm-hmm.
But to hear you say it for you it was about letting go, I would say anything a person can do to learn how to let go is super powerful. But
Yes.
not that you have to go into deep things, but what was some of the things you I want you to expound on that letting go a little bit, because I think that's so huge for all of us to let go of stuff.
Well, I mean, like you say, we all hang on to things that we don't even realize we're hanging on to, whether it's grudges or your own ego. Right. I mean, we all have an ego, and I don't mean that and we're all egocentric. I mean that as we all have an ego, we all think about me, myself, and I all the time, and how we do things the best way, whatever it may be. But because of that, we hold on to so much nonsense. And throughout a yoga class, depending on the teacher, depending on the type of class, but throughout the classes that I went through, it was a meditation, but it was also a sense of purpose. Things that they talked about throughout the class was a constant reminder for me to let go. Like, whatever you're hanging on to right now, whatever is stressing you out, just breathe it out. And I was like, what does that even mean? But okay, and I'd breathe it out, and slowly but surely it started to really sink in. And I mean, stuff that I was hanging on to, I used to have a really big anger issue. I mean, that's runs in my family, is a temper. Like, we have tempers. I'm a redhead. It happens. Yeah. But my temper has gone. I can stop and breathe and really think about what that other person is saying to me before I respond out of reaction. So that's another thing, we react to things, but letting go of, we have so much to let go of, that's hard to expand on, but it really just allows you that space. That is a yoga teacher's job, to allow you space. They give you certain innuendos, certain little things to think on, and what you do with that in that time is up to you. Mm-hmm. That space is where stuff starts to unravel, these thoughts come up, one of the poses at the end is called Shavasana, where you just lay there with your eyes closed on your back, and you'll see people start to fidget or whatever. But after a workout, allowing what you just went through to sit and be, because you've also went through emotional stuff. Emotions are tied into our muscles, and emotions are tied into what we do. So when you allow that to take a space and come out, there are days I've cried. And I don't know where it came from or what happened, because it brought up this emotion. It brought up something that I needed to release, something that I needed to let go of. And sometimes I don't even know what that is.
That's right. And really not knowing isn't as important as letting it go.
Exactly.
Because we don't really stop to think about with, the anger and things like this, we keep stuffing them inside. We can't heal. And it's not hurting that person we're angry with.
Exactly.
They don't have a clue. But it's hurting ourselves, so we have to learn how to let it go. This is really, really important. I think this is great information that you've been giving today.
Well, I'm sitting here saying that same thing. So get rid of the bad things in your diet. Get on some whole food meal replacement shake and supplements. And then do inner work.
Yes.
Find someone that's teaching some good stuff and listen to them. And don't neglect the walking part. Was valuable too. That
I lost 40 pounds. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. The walking, I lost 40 pounds doing just the walking, and that was maybe 2 miles around my neighborhood in the mornings.
And being outside.
Yes.
Being in tune with nature.
Absolutely.
See, that's also important, and we get in such a rush, and we don't stop to think about what we're missing and not doing for ourselves. Well, so it's wonderful, wonderful.
Crystal, I have a friend who every single morning is outside barefoot in the grass when the sun rises, and you've met her. Her name is Betty Lou. Every morning. Now that's just. Well, we're definitely going to have you back on, because there's a bunch of other stuff I want to ask you. But I do. No, really, you're just awesome, and I'm just so glad that we're doing, because I know people listening to this really saying, this chick's amazing, And I say chick because you would say that, so. But you are. But one other little thing, and this is it really is funny, as a man, I really don't think we deal with it near as much. But you just said you lost 40 pounds during the process. So now again, to remind everybody, I just met you, a couple of months ago. Mm-hmm. So this beautiful woman comes in my office and she radiates health. So
Yeah.
she's not, and I've said this to you, she's not just pretty, it's beyond that.
Yeah.
And there's a difference. And you're lean and toned. So I don't have that picture of the 40-pound, not to mention the 5 years ago, 7 years ago you. I don't know that person.
Right.
So that person, by your own words, was heavier.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you're so lean and toned and perfect, I think women have a tendency to be jealous of other women. Sometimes.
No.
Yeah. And men, we just tell every other man that he's a jerk. So, yeah, that's our way of saying we're jealous. But just touch a little bit if you experienced any body shaming.
Oh, gosh, absolutely. So on top of being heavier, my chest size was also heavier. I mean, when I was 16 years old, I had double D boobs. I mean, immediately off
Now
the
I
bat.
really wish I knew you.
Off the bag. Like, that's how I was at 16 years old. So I was a tomboy that looked like I shouldn't have been a tomboy. And that was really hard for me. I was like, I don't want your attention. Don't talk to me. But that was one surgery that I've always said, it's the only surgery I'm going to have. Like, that's the one thing I know it's not me. I want to get a reduction. It's painful for me for my back and whatever. So in between all of this, I actually got a reduction as well in between all these surgeries. So it was much more than just that. But the body shaming when I was bigger, it was because I had big boobs and people were jealous of that and not understanding that actually hurt my back and I didn't like it. Like, that's not what I'm about. Body shaming as I got bigger. Man, what are you eating? You really let yourself go, or oh, you must be just depressed because of everything.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
People are very dumb when they talk.
Yeah.
And it was something that I had to just let roll off. The same thing with baby comments. I had to learn they have no idea what they're talking about. Just keep on trucking.
Right.
And then as I started to lose weight, people started complimenting me like, oh, look, you've lost weight. Oh, look, you look great. And then the people that didn't know me before, it got to the point where I'm meeting new people that didn't know me before. Or I had a girl, not body shame me, but I mean kind of, in yoga teacher training. She's like, yeah, you walked in and I just knew you were just one of those skinny girls. I stopped her dead in her tracks. I was like, for one, nobody has ever said that to me in my whole life. And for two, no. I was like, it took a lot of work for me to look like I do. And I don't even focus on what I look like on the outside. I do the yoga and I eat right to feel good on the inside.
Yes.
It is not about my outer look. And I love those women that are toned and looking in the mirror and getting your guns on. That is awesome. Like, yeah, I'm proud of you for doing you. But I will never look at you and go, I wish that was me, because I don't know what you've been through.
Right.
And that is the one thing that all of this has taught me. I have no idea what that other person is going through right now. You can look perfect on the outside, but have 20 autoimmune diseases on the inside. And be going through a divorce and, maybe losing your kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. So I know that there's more to everybody's story now.
Yeah.
And I like to just let people know that,
That's so powerful. So you, through that, you learned, or maybe you already knew how to forgive. You had to forgive people.
I had to learn that one.
Well, you know what Jesus said on the cross, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're talking about. That's
it. Yeah.
And you just have to, but you have to forgive.
You do.
Because they don't know, like they don't mean it.
You have to forgive for your
for
own
yourself,
self,
right.
as well as for them. It's like you're releasing that negativity. And it's so important, and I don't really think that people touch in on that. That's why I'm so happy to hear all these things that you're sharing, because it is so important for people to really, really, really pay attention to these words that you're giving us.
Thank you.
Really important.
Now, okay, so now, cut for a second. I'm gonna make stuff up. Okay, so don't freak out. Okay, so what is he talking about? All right, so Crystal, I don't think anybody can listen to you and not be inspired. But I also know that for a lot of people, they listen and they're inspired and they want to know more. Like, I know there's people that want to talk to you and like to get in touch with you and maybe work with you. And I know you recently started doing some health coaching. And so if somebody wanted to reach you, you told me you had started a website. Yeah. And, www.crystalsthecoolest.com.
That's gonna be the name.
Yeah. And on there's information about you, what you've done. I think you even have a free ebook, like the 5 things you did to get started that you would recommend anybody start. And then they have an opportunity if they want you to even work with you and you do some one-on-one coaching, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yes.
And, well, Betty Lou, do you have any questions? Because, I'm wore out, with joy. That was just wow.
Exactly.
No, literally, that was unbelievable.
Right. And, I was hanging on every word.
I was too.
And I just thought, this is fantastic. Fantastic.
And I heard it before, and I was hanging on every word. And I knew you'd love her.
This is, to me, these words are things that everybody needs to hear. That the body can heal itself. We have to allow it to happen. And it's up to us. Nobody else can heal us. It's up to us. And so I just think this is just a wonderful story.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that I've got the opportunity to hear all of this. You coming forward with this is fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for sharing. It was wonderful.
Well, Crystal, I knew you would be great. You were. And people, you're listening, check her out. Share this with your friends.
Yes.
Leave a comment. And, find her at www.crystalsthecoolest or so she thinks.com. All right, thank you. We'll see you all next week.